Once upon a time, there was a young man who lived in a small village at the base of a mountain. This young man was well known throughout the village for his laziness. He spent his days lying in the shade of a tree, napping and daydreaming, while the other villagers worked hard in the fields and workshops. One day, the young man's grandfather, a wise old man, called him over. "My son," said the grandfather, "I have a task for you. I want you to climb to the top of that mountain and bring back a small stone from the highest peak." The young man glanced up at the mountain and scoffed. "That's impossible," he said. "I'm far too lazy to climb all the way up there." His grandfather smiled and replied, But you see, the stone I seek isn't on the mountain itself. It's on the other side of the mountain, in a cave that can only be reached by climbing to the top and descending the other side." The young man was intrigued. He had never heard of this stone, and the thought of such a unique task sparked his curiosity. So, he decided to take up his grandfather's challenge. The climb was long and difficult, and the young man soon found himself out of breath and sweating heavily. But as he climbed higher and higher, he began to feel a sense of exhilaration and excitement that he had never felt before. When he finally reached the summit, he was exhausted but thrilled. He gazed out at the breathtaking view before him and felt a sense of accomplishment that was entirely new to him. But the real challenge lay ahead. The young man had to descend the other side of the mountain and find the cave where the stone was said to be located. The descent was even more treacherous than the climb, and the young man stumbled and fell many times. But he pressed on, driven by the promise of the stone that lay ahead. And when he finally reached the cave, he saw the stone lying there, gleaming in the light that filtered in from the entrance. He picked up the stone and marveled at its beauty. But then he realized that he had a problem. How was he going to get back up the mountain and return the stone to his grandfather? For a moment, the young man thought about giving up. But then he remembered the sense of accomplishment and pride that he had felt when he reached the summit. He knew that he had the strength and determination to do it again. And so, he climbed back up the mountain, his muscles aching and his lungs burning. But he did not give up. He pushed himself to keep going, driven by the knowledge that he had overcome his own laziness and accomplished something truly remarkable. When he finally reached his grandfather and presented him with the stone, the old man smiled and said, "Well done, my son. You have learned an important lesson today. Laziness is not something to be accepted or tolerated. It is a challenge to be overcome, a hurdle to be leaped over." The young man nodded, understanding the wisdom in his grandfather's words. He realized that he had always been capable of great things, but that his laziness had held him back. Now he knew that he had the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle that lay in his path. The lesson of the grandfather's challenge is that laziness is not something that should be accepted or tolerated. It is a challenge that must be overcome, a hurdle that must be leaped over. When we push ourselves to achieve our goals, even when they seem impossible, we discover a strength and resilience within ourselves that we never knew existed. To overcome laziness, we must challenge ourselves and set ambitious goals, no matter how difficult they may seem. We must push ourselves beyond our limits and persevere even when we face setbacks and obstacles. We must also cultivate discipline and consistency in our daily habits and routines. By setting a schedule and sticking to it, we can build good habits that help us to stay focused and productive even when we don't feel like it. Another important aspect of overcoming laziness is to cultivate a growth mindset. This means viewing challenges and failures as opportunities for growth and learning, rather than as reasons to give up. By adopting a growth mindset, we can reframe our thinking about failure and use it as a catalyst for improvement and progress. Ultimately, overcoming laziness requires a willingness to step out of our comfort zone and embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed